Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be dissecting the Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood benchmark, aka we're doing a benchmark breakdown. So I'm actually not going to be playing the benchmark itself. My Twitch stream, after calling me an idiot for, I don't know, a good 5 minutes or so, I was trying to run the benchmark itself and locally record it and live stream it and get my score, and not a good idea because on the live stream end it looked like crap. However, there is a YouTube version of the benchmark that we are going to be looking at, breaking down some of the things that we see, some of the job actions that it looks like we'll be getting in the expansion itself. If you're looking to try out the benchmark, it is a PC-only program. PS4 players, you can't do it. The benchmark's sole purpose is to determine if your computer can run Final Fantasy XIV, and if it can, how well. Your PS4 will always run the benchmark, so this trailer is the equivalent of what your benchmark is going to be. It also has a character creator built in, so if you want to create a character and then bring it into the game, you can actually do that as well. So I'll include links to both the NA and EU in the description of the YouTube video. If you're watching me live, most of you already have it or can find the links pretty easily if you just go to your respective lodestones. But anyway, because we're going to be doing a breakdown, I know you guys probably want to hear the music and whatnot, so we're going to do once over with the music on. And then we're going to do once over with the music off. The music's not going to be too loud regardless because I'm trying to speak over it. And then we'll break down the individual parts that really need a bigger breakdown. There's been a few things that we've pointed out that I'm prepared to point out when we're actually getting into it. But we press the play button, so let's get started. All right, so this is one of the new areas, Rhalgr's Reach. It is pretty much the center of the Alamegan Resistance. That's the representation of our character, the Warrior of Light, as a monk. These are Alamegan refugees or rebels preparing to go to battle against the Garleans. You can see them all here gathering around the fire as the Warrior of Light. That is the monk AF gear, by the way, for anyone wondering. That's at least how it'll look on males. We'll see how it'll look on females at some point. We will not be getting Idas as female. I believe that's too different, far too different. All right, so that's a start right there. Nothing really big to talk about here. That looks like it's a party of a few of our friends here. Walking towards the sun. We're storm-bound. We're heavensward. We're going towards the sun. It's heavensward. Official benchmark. So, they're going to show us running around some chocobos in one of the new areas. This is an area that is in Alamigo itself. And then a battle against this. So, we're going to play it through once first. Warrior has a charge skill. So, yeah, that's pretty easy to point out. That's a machinist with a flamethrower. That's a summoner. It looked like he had Ravana wings and casted something that looked like Ruin 3. That was some sort of new card effect or card changing buff. Hey, White Mage casting Holy, by the way. DPS. Anyway. He's got those glows around his fists. Those look to be part of the weapon. I think that's... oh, yeah. So now we have a Red Mage. Most of these abilities we've seen on the Red Mage before, so it's not really that unique of a display. You can see him right here. He casts a little light, a little arrow. Then he dashes in. Stab, 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 stab. Stab. Backflips out with a slash. And then cast like a flare White Mage equivalent thing. Like something that mixes flare and something else. So a new monk skill right here. Looks like he gives himself 3 stacks of Grease Lightning because he did that, immediately powered up, and then did Tornado Kick. So either it makes Tornado Kick have no cost, like it doesn't reduce GL3, or he gave himself instant Grease Lightning 3 and used Tornado Kick. One of the two. Also, a lot of those enemies you should recognize with... from Final Fantasies, Final Fantasy VI especially with the rotors. So this is, we're in the Hingashi region now. This is Kugane, with the character dressed as a samurai. You can see some of the other AF gear around on the different characters. Just a quick walk through the town with all the... And remember, it's a benchmark, so they're just sticking a bunch of characters in these towns especially because they're trying to test your PC to the maximum. And then some swimming, a little bit of display of that. Again, a lot of characters. So they're swimming outside over in Authored, just hanging about. That Lalafell looked like it was dead, by the way. Definitely looked like it was dead. Stab, stab. So that's spearfishing. You can see some of the other gatherers attempting to gather underwater. Wanted to gather out of the clam there, but it didn't quite work. Riding the Collector's Edition mount, by the way. There was also an Ultros that I missed pointing out there, by the way. Oh, and the Kraken. The Kraken's right there. There you go. Alright, then flying through one of the above-ground areas, you can see the giant gates put up by the Garleans right here. That looks to be probably a new Fate. I'd imagine it's a Fenrir remodel. I'd imagine it's a Super Fate. It doesn't necessarily need to be, but I'd like to imagine that it is. So these gates put up by the Garleans, you know what? They're just gonna explode. Because, you know, spoiler alert, why not, right? Imagine, where's the scene where one of them gets hit by the rocks and is crushed in a horrible death? Now, this was interesting because it looks like those are a bunch of, those were mounts. Those were what looked to be Doman refugees or Doman warriors riding mini Cetus mounts, and then a giant one himself. Now, that is Yojimbo from Final Fantasy X and his pet, by the way. That is absolutely Yojimbo from, there's no doubt about it. It's Yojimbo. The one in the middle is Susano, or Susano-o, if you're trying to be more exact. And this is the part where I need to slow things down to break it down, but we're going to play through it once first, then come back. Black Mage casting a new spell right there. Scholar, their pet, buffed an ally right there, and tethered, it looks like. They shot a giant set of arrows. They did a new heal on the Paladin. Paladin cast a mini solo holy. Looks like he expended Blood of the Dragon to do a giant nuke. Summoned a frog with a giant fire AoE. And then there's just a regular samurai ability, plus the charge up ability, which you've already seen a few times at this point. Then Dark Knight gets a cover skill right here, puts a shield around the samurai, who has aggro for some reason. And then we see about 80% of the samurai LB3 right here. Because apparently the final tick of damage happens right there. Like, that's when the big explosion would be, in a sense. Now, that's just going to be that. Actually, I feel like we broke that down pretty well. I just had to go really fast in order to do it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to both the first combat segment and see if we can point out anything in particular that we might have missed, or at least bring to light some of the things that we already brought, but slow it down a little bit. And then on top of that, we're going to go back to the second scene against Susano, Yojimbo, and the fake Enkidu. So let's scroll back all the way to here. Also, I could point out Ultros again somewhere. Where was he? Where's Ultros? Ultros was chilling. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Oh, he was off on the right. Look, look, look. There he is. Look, over on the right. There's Ultros. Just chilling. You know, whatever. No big deal. Diogoro, that's his name. I never remember. I just call him fake Enkidu. Diogoro, yeah, or Diogoro. But anyway, so going back to this scene right here, we can play through and then pause at the key points again so you can see certain aspects. There's probably things when they're like speeding past right there that we're also missing. So Warrior getting a charge skill. I mean, I thought Dark Knight having that as like one of their own unique things was pretty nice. I'm now curious if Paladin has a shield charge skill. I'm pretty sure that Paladin's going to end up having a shield charge, along with Warrior's charge and then Dark Knight's plunge. Now having seen that Warrior is getting a gap closer as well. Then he does overpower on one target like a scrub. Now, there you can see the Machinist using a flamethrower as an AoE, which is pretty badass. That's not something I think I wanted, but you can see him AoEing down like 3 targets right there. If you take a quick look, yeah, it'd probably be a good idea to actually slow down the speed while we're also trying to stop and go through there. All right, so, and then it's frame by frame. So now this is the next one. This is the Summoner, and we're going to need to get a good freeze. So those wings are not Bahamut wings. Those very much look like Ravana's wings, and you see he shoots out a few AoEs like that, and they all impact the enemy and then kind of in one point in front of him and then explode. Now this looks like, you know, there we go. So we have, look at that. So you have the 6 primary cards right here. The deck we know has 6 cards. You can see there's 2 new symbols on the left and the right-hand side, which are probably indicating some means of changing the way the buff interacts and not actually a new card. It's a matter of figuring out what these 2 new cards actually do. Because then they pull the one card out, and it looks like he pulled the card that was on the left-hand side. I'm wondering if there was a means of choosing which of the two cards he actually drew, because that is one of the two cards that was actually visible. So I'm curious to see how that actually ends up working out. Yeah, it looked like he burned a card. So what I'd imagine it is you take a card and you use it to reach a second tier of cards. And then you have two cards that it can be. And they probably have more direct effects. Because then when he uses it, it's not entirely clear what the secondary effect actually was. It's showing us that it's like in the direction of what the summoner was fighting. But it's not made abundantly obvious what effect it actually had. You can see there's a ninja on the left doing an AoE on one target. At least it's not a Doton, so he's not doing STDs. That was a Dragonfire dive back there. He just did, what's it called? Forbidden Chakra. There's a white mage casting Holy again. You can see a bard using Wide Volley. That punch in slow motion looked pretty cool. Just trying to see, like, there was a black mage in the background. Looks like he was just casting a regular spell. All right. Keep it slow, nice and slow. And he goes to get swung at. And he's just looking at it. Oh, no. He goes to get swung and boop. Just gets pecked in the shoulder. The red mage thing, I feel like we went through the red mage thing, the display of the red mage skills pretty handily. I think we can skip through those. Now, this was the next display right here. Oh, by the way, it looks like the Ananta are actually fighting alongside of us, which we know that the Ananta, that the new beast tribes, while we do have some grief with them, that they aren't necessarily, you know, bad to their core, kind of like a lot of the other tempered beast tribes were. So I'm curious what the story ends up being behind the Ananta and the other beast tribe, the ones that look like turtles. Their names are escaping me right now. But it looks like they're fighting with us, not against us. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. Fighting alongside of us. So then you have this, and then he burns it and does a new skill right here. Here it is. Where is it? Come on. It's so slow. So he goes Super Saiyan right here, literally goes Super Saiyan, and then immediately tornado kicks. So either he's the worst monk and he just tornado kicked instead of doing anything else with his Grease Lightning 3, or it made tornado kick have no it made Tornado Kick not require Grease Lightning 3, meaning you'd be able to use Tornado Kick more frequently, or it's designed deliberately to allow you to Tornado Kick in combat. Regardless, I think if it's performing if what we're seeing is the intended use of it, which isn't really always the case when it comes to these benchmarks, then it is designed to let you use Tornado Kick more frequently without really sacrificing a whole heaping hell of a lot on Monk. One thing we don't really see there is if Monk gets any sort of new utilities, which is the #1 request. But, I mean, there's a lot of changes. We saw one ability there. There's nothing you can really pull from definitively about the state of the changes for that job just from that. So then we skip over to the second combat scene, and they cast Protect and Sucker, it looks like. Is that a Sucker? No, it's a Eloquium on the tank, which, by the way, it's on the tank that picks up one mob. It's not even the main boss, and the samurai goes to fight the main boss. So why even do the realism of preparing for the fight if your friggin' Dark Knight's going to run, pick up an ad, and let the DPS pull the boss? Noobs. Anyway, so this Black Mage casts this new spell right here. Now, it's hard to tell. It looks like it's gravity aspected more specifically. It doesn't look like it's fire, ice, or lightning. If I had to draw a conclusion, and these are lightning bolts, which I'm colorblind, so when I see something this dark, I kind of just affiliate it with gravity magic. I don't affiliate it with, like, I can't really see the purplish in the thunder. But if anything, it's burst. That would be my first guess if I was affiliating it with one of the 3 primary elements and not just looking at the umbral elements when it comes to a black mage. Burst is a spell that's been long since gone, and I don't remember what burst looked like in 1.0 in all honesty. So regardless, one of the two, my first guess would be probably burst, but Demi or gravity or something along those lines wouldn't be beyond the realm of expectation as well. See, there it looks, see, that looks like Ozma. I'm going to go with Void Magic here. That's some sort of Void Magic. That thing in the center reminded me of Ozma. So I'm just going to go with Void Magic. So this was interesting. The Scholar tethers the pet to the tank. If I have to do anything here, it either heals the tethered target over time, provides some sort of buff to the tethered target, or even absorbs damage for the tethered target. The last one I'd have a hard time believing, but we already have Dissipation to kill the fairy off, so why not this as well? They definitely, according to my Twitch chat, do not make babies. I am willing to bet that they do not make babies. So this is weird. This I can't really tell like how it's applied. They shoot a bunch of arrows off and then they all collide in one direction. By the way, the Scholar's DPSing. I saw him cast Ruin there. Anyway, I had to point it out. And then they kill Daigoro. And then we have this White Mage ability here. They give something to the Paladin right there. Oh no, actually that's an AoE effect. Unless the effect on the ninja was something different. It looks like the ninja got some sort of effect too. From that same heal. The Paladin, by the way, that had a cast time, didn't it? Is that another Paladin casting ability? Yes, it is. So this is another ability it looks like Paladin can cast. Yeah. Yes, it's got to be some sort of raid DPS utility or AoE heal of some kind. So he does some sort of, it looks like it's like holy. Like it looks like it's holy to me. If I had to put any sort of thing on it. And that while it's not as big as the holy from the White Mage, I'd be willing to believe that's a new Paladin AoE. That would be my first guess. That's one of the big points they want to hit with Paladin is that is no AoE damage right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was literally a Paladin casting holy. I just wouldn't be surprised. So this was interesting with the Dragoon. So his Blood of the Dragon flies away. Almost holy. Yes, it could be almost holy. You're absolutely right. I'm going to go with that. So it looks like his Blood of the Dragon, he sacrifices it all. It flies away and then nukes the opponent. That's what that looks like to me. It's something that immediately expends Blood of the Dragon. And you know what? If you're really good with Blood of the Dragon, currently what you do with it is you just get rid of it with your Jizz Kogels and then re-up it, or you hold it until, or you just maintain it until you know a point in the fight it's going to drop off, and then you do it again. This is almost like, if I had to guess, this is almost like the Tornado Kick equivalent of something that's even more so. It's like, oh, I have Blood of the Dragon. Oh, Jizz Kogel. Oh, well, I can't do anything for the next 12 seconds, so I can't even Jizz Kogel again. So whatever, you know, it'll just fall off and then I'll reapply it when it comes back. You don't even really have downtime for it, which is nice. I'd imagine it's pretty much like the Tornado Kick equivalent when no matter what, you're going to not be able to use the remaining time you have on Blood of the Dragon. So you lose it all here, even so 2 expenditures of the Blood of the Dragon. That would be my first guess when it comes to that right there. Now, this ninja one first does that, and then immediately... Now, I'd like to point out there was no ninjutsu casting right there. They were on the frog. The frog spat at him. I thought it was poison at first. Looks a little bit more... It looks like a mix of fire and poison, kind of. By the way, stop AoEing on single targets, noob. And then frog goes away. So it's a toad. Now this right here, these samurai skills are not new. We've seen these samurai skills in the main story and in the previous displays of samurai's abilities. So this isn't actually anything new if you've ever seen anything regarding samurai before. Oil, that could be it. Oil, I could go with that. And then this is where we get to see the final skill. I guess the only question is this an actual, like, damage shield? Like, is it like an Eloquium? Or is it damage reduction on another target? It doesn't look like it's damage redirection like cover. It looks like it just flat out reduces the damage a target will take. It also shatters as soon as he takes a hit. I don't know. I think that might have been just the animation ending, not so much it being shattered by the attack. It's just time to look that way. There's also the question of will it reflect damage back to the target. There's no way to really tell there, but it's hard to tell. But it's one of the two. It's another Dark Knight utility that they're going to be getting, a more party focused utility. Now, some people in chat are suggesting that perhaps it negates the next attack. They undid all of those negate attack type abilities in 3.5 3.0, like they made Mana Wall be a percentage of health, and they made Shade Shifts not completely avoid attacks, I'd be hard-pressed to see them even going back to just giving that to one job, because people will probably figure out a way to abuse it, depending on how it actually works. I'm more willing to accept that it's probably an HP shield of some kind, maybe some sort of secondary effect on it as well, but that remains to be seen. All right. So for anyone, I have some questions here from the live chat. Don't take what you see in this trial literally. Back in all the benchmarks, they just like to throw enemies into like the same instance and not necessarily, they have no correlation with one another, or they're at least not all part of the same fight. So don't take what you saw there literally. There's a good chance Yojimbo and Dagoro are completely separate and have nothing to do with Susano. They were just put in this for that specific display. I doubt it has anything to actually do with the Susano fight and is just for, as the benchmark does, testing your computer to see if it can run the game. But anyway, that was the benchmark, and that was our benchmark breakdown. Overall, this is the first we've really seen of any of the new skills. We do have the next live letter on May 20th. That live letter will specifically be going into the combat changes of the expansion. So all the questions you have are potentially going to be answered on May 20th, and we will probably get to see more actions. Maybe the job trailer, the job action trailer, launches in that time frame, either the same day, just before, or just after. But we'll have to wait and see. That's going to be the next big point we get some news. Although I do have an announcement here in this video. I can't give you any specifics, but in the month of May, sometime before the live letter on May 20th, I will be going to do an early preview of Stormblood, where I will get to play the game and I will get to bring back certain details and footage. I don't know. Obviously I can't tell you exactly when or exactly where it's going to be. That's all information that's just off on its own. And I don't know exactly what information I can bring back or even how much I'll be able to obtain while I'm there. But I will do my best to bring back as much as I can for you guys, because I will be able to record footage. I should have some decent video stuff to bring back for you guys as well. So hopefully we have a lot of news in the time frame around the middle of May, and then we can, just a month till the expansion at that point. You know what I mean? Like, we're almost there. So just hang on a little bit longer. We still got plenty of games to burn through while we're waiting for Stormblood, and then we still got some last Stormblood prep to do. But anyway, I'm going to wrap up this YouTube video. I'm going to keep streaming on Twitch for a little while longer, like about 2 hours longer over on Twitch, and then I'm going to go grab lunch and come back for the evening stream. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for all the latest information about Stormblood. I'll be doing tons of videos, especially throughout May and especially the early parts of June, so keep an eye out for all those. Twitch, we're going to continue our stream. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, take care.